All right guys, today we're checking out the Segway GT3. So yeah, this is our second Segway scooter that we're reviewing on the channel. And like most of the other Segway products that we reviewed, it has a really futuristic aesthetic feel. Everything about the look of it, the packaging, the assembly, high quality. You know, it's what you would expect from a brand like Segway. Very similar to the Max G3, but there are a few specs that are actually more significant, which we'll get into in a second. So let's go through all the features. Here we have the 11-inch self-sealing tubeless tires. So having tubeless means that there's less chances of you getting a flat. The tread looks like it's only meant for the streets, although we will try it off-road. Got an integrated front fender and a front hydraulic suspension, almost like a mini fork over here. Over here we have the Segway branding, very prominent X. We also got mechanical disc brakes. As you guys know, we prefer hydraulic, but that's fine. Got a really large deck over here, rear footrest, very grippy rubber on top. Here's the charging port. Got a little rubber covering as well to protect it from water. So this tube over here is part of the frame, but kind of interesting that there's no way to kind of really grip it or hold it. And usually when I'm loading this thing into like a vehicle or inside of the shed, I try to find some place that I can kind of lift it on the rear. Here's a look at the mechanical disc brakes on the rear. So here's the integrated headlight. This is the low beam. That's the high beam, low, high. And you also have these integrated turn signals front and rear. So this is what the left looks like. Super bright. And I love the location of this, right under the handlebars. Very visible when you're riding with traffic. That's the right side. And you also get that back here. Really bright. Left. And I believe you get the brake functionality as well, so when you squeeze it, it gets super bright. So yeah, having fully integrated lighting system is definitely a plus. Up top, we have the center-mounted 2.4-inch TFT display, very similar to the Segway Cyber, as well as the Max G3. Over here are the controls for the signals, which we tested earlier. The dial over here to change from low beam to high beam. On the headlight, you could also turn it off, or you could do auto headlight as well. Here's the horn. Super loud. And over here is the power button, and then you have the dial to change your mode. So when you dial it down, is actually going up. So that's walk mode, eco mode, sport, and race. So yeah, so dialing down means going up, and then dialing up means going down. So just something that you got to get used to. Over here is a right hand half twist throttle, and then you got the rubber ergonomic grips. So not super cluttered and pretty easy to figure out. So for the motor, we have a 1200 watt rated 2400 watt peak. So plenty of power. This should get you past 30 miles per hour. Inside of the deck, we have a UL certified 46.8 volt 19.2 amp hour battery. On the website, this says it should give you up to 50 miles of range, which is ambitious. You know, maybe that's on the lowest setting with a very light rider and you're going on eco mode. But if you're full throttling this thing, expect a lower amount of range. This also says it can handle an incline up to 30%. We'll test it out on this hill over here. We also have hydraulic rear suspension as well. Similar to the Max G3, this also has traction control, which we'll probably turn off since we want to do some off-road as well. Now I'll demonstrate the airlock mode. So the scooter is turned off and we enabled airlock on the app. So this means that the motor will actually engage if you try to move it. So I can't actually push it forward or back. It's giving me a little bit of a warning. So if I continue to try to steal it, it'll start going off. Okay. All right, very loud and obnoxious, but that is your anti-theft. Okay, so now let's walk through some of the features on the app. All right, so here's the app. This is the dashboard. Up top on the upper left, you see the battery life, 83%, and 83% translates to about 21 miles of range. As we click into the battery details, you see the milliamp hours, total capacity, the voltage that it's sitting at, which is 52.4 volts, temperature. What else we got? Dashboard. So similar stats here. You could see your speedometer, remaining mileage, settings. Here's the locking function. So locking function is enabled. Vehicle needs to be unlocked via passcode or app. So that's another anti-theft feature and something that I really don't want to put on at the moment. Abnormality alert. So that's what I demonstrated earlier. If you start moving the scooter, it'll detect the vibrations and start honking at you. Locating vehicle, Apple Find My, if you have an Apple phone, then you can enable that. Auto power off. self-explanatory. Traction control, so this is what we shut off, and this pretty much like cuts power to the motor if it detects some weirdness on the road. We'll leave that off since we're going to ride it off-road. Park on slope, we'll probably leave that off. Choose speed mode, so here you can enable or disable certain riding modes. You could customize the speed mode, so you could change the top speed on each mode, so that's very helpful. And then start speed, so this is where you can enable the zero start throttle. So if you want to do a kickstart, maybe that's more immediate, you do 0.6 miles per hour, or if you want a slower, gradual kickstart, then you would bump that up. So one thing to note when you do a 0 mile per hour start speed, you actually have to hit the brake lever to exit park mode. It's not a true zero start throttle, just something to think about. And then brake priority, motor power will cut off when squeezing the brake lever. We usually leave that off. And then sound effects, when you're doing the indicators, light effects, auto headlight, breathing tail light, charging limit, which is pretty cool. So you can charge it to 80%, right? Or 90% instead of 100%. This will increase the life of the battery by not charging it to 100% each time. And then sleep mode and, customizing dashboard settings. So yeah, tons of features, very similar to our other Segway vehicles. And the total weight of the scooter is 87.1 pounds. So now that we've gone over all the features of the Segway GT3, let's take it out for its first ride.
3, 2, 1. Okay, 20 miles an hour already, 25. The display is actually accurate. That's refreshing to see. That's all a boost mode. That's 31 miles an hour. That seems to be about the top speed. Feels limited, definitely feels like it could go faster, but smooth ride. Have we done our quarter mile yet? I think I did. Downhill, let's see if it lets me go any faster than 31. I don't think it'll let me though. It does not appear to let me go faster than 31, which is still fine. You don't need to go any faster than 31 on a scooter anyway. This is plenty. 3, 2, 1, uphill test. Oh. See, it's weird because when it hits these really big bumps, it like cuts out on power, which is strange, but safety is safety, I guess. There's got to be a way to turn it off. And then also the parking brake too. Trying to get a good launch, sometimes the parking brake times itself just perfectly to where when you want to go floor it, it turns on right before you floor it, and then you don't go anywhere. Which also, that could be like potentially dangerous, especially if you're trying to get out of the way of something coming at you fast. So that's one thing to think about. Like right there, I just hit that bump and it cut me off and dropped me 2 miles an hour just from hitting a bump. I don't know why it does that.
Okay, first ride with the Segway GT3. It's in park mode right now. Let's put it on Eco. And we do have it on zero start, but zero start is not a true zero start. You actually have to hit the brakes before you can go. So let's see if it works for us here. All right, nice and slow. Start on Eco. And I am pinning the throttle down, maxing me out at about 15 miles per hour. So just nice and easy, very reminiscent of the Segway Max G3, which we reviewed a couple months ago. And yeah, very similar. I feel like this scooter sits a little bit higher. Otherwise, the tune is very similar to the Max G3. Let's go to sport mode. So what's interesting is when you hit the dial, you actually have to kind of like click it left. And my instinct is to go up to go to the higher mode. But you actually have to dial it down to go to sport mode. So that's just, I think Segway does that on a lot of their vehicles. So that's just something that I haven't really gotten used to yet. Anyway, sport mode now. Okay, 22 miles per hour. It's a lot better. And very easy to maneuver. I like to plant my left foot on the stand over here, or the footrest, whatever you want to call it. And it helps me with like leaning into the turns, right? This is kind of positioning my body where I feel the most comfortable with controlling the scooter. And it makes, you know, turning very easy. I kind of have to be careful with some of the gravel and loose dirt in this parking lot. They're doing some construction. Okay, let's go up to race mode now. All right, race mode. So yeah, way more power. Hit 24 miles per hour there. Very responsive, very smooth, and very, very quiet, as is most of the Segway lineup. But yeah, really nice. Really nice. Okay. There is a boost mode. So basically when you hit the boost button, I'll press it right now, it's boosting. It's giving me a temporary amount of boost. So I'm hitting about 30 miles per hour in boost, and I'll let off right there. And then boost is disengaging. Still have a little bit left. All right, here we go. And boosting, and then the boosting stopped. And if I try to boost again, it basically disables the boost. It says it's not ready. So, you know, just little quirks with Segway. They won't let you boost for a certain amount of time, and it disables. It is what it is, right? Okay, so let's go off-road. Let's spin around here. We'll take it on the grass. We also disabled the traction control because if you enable traction control, it just won't work, the motor. So here we go. And it is handling a little bit of the off-road. Try to go up this hill. Can it make it? Can I boost? I'm boosting up. And yes. You know, not quite the terrain you want to take a scooter like this on, but if you had to, it can do it. And believe it or not, as uncomfortable as this looks on camera, it's actually absorbing some of those shocks, right? It is absorbing a little bit of the grass over here. So, yeah, it can do it. Probably not meant to do it, but it can. So anyway, we can try to go back up the hill this way. Maybe not as steep. Can it do it? We'll boost again. Oh, and yes, a little bit. All right, now my legs are starting to hurt from all the all the bumps and the shocks. All right, let's get the hell off this grass. Back onto the pavement. There we go. Woo! This is where this thing belongs. Very nice, very smooth. Very easy to maneuver. All right, let's do a brake test. I'll go down here. Here we go. 25, 26, 27, and brake. Yeah, not bad for mechanical disc brakes, and we didn't even adjust it.
So let's recap the specs. The Segway GT3 electric scooter leans hard into a futuristic design with a high-strength frame and integrated lighting across the board, including a 14-watt headlight with high-low beams, turn signals, and tail light. It weighs 87 pounds and pushes the boundaries of a typical commuter scooter. The center-mounted TFT display gives you speed, battery life, trip distance, and even real-time charge estimates. Performance-wise, you're looking at a 1,200-watt rated motor with a 2,400-watt peak that hits a top speed of 31 miles per hour. For power, it has a 46.8-volt, 19.2 amp-hour UL-certified battery. You get 4 throttle modes and up to 50 miles of range depending on terrain and rider weight. The ride is dialed in with hydraulic suspension, self-sealing tubeless tires, and a traction control system. And smart features like GPS tracking, airlock, and app integration should appeal to riders who want to stay connected to their vehicle.
All right, let's see what this thing does off-road. Okay. So flooring it up this pretty steep hill here, the suspension's doing good. Don't know what the rattling is. We made it up at about 7 miles an hour, but we made it nonetheless. I definitely wouldn't take this thing off like off in the grass like this. It's definitely not meant for this, but for like maybe some single track dirt, like packed dirt trails, it would be really good. It just doesn't have enough power to maintain the speed it needs, and the suspension doesn't have enough travel. But it still is doing very good, even though it's not really designed to do any of this kind of stuff. You know, I mean, it's just not what it's meant for. But it can do it. So if you had to cut through the grass, you definitely can. But yeah, I mean, what else is there to say about a finely crafted scooter that just, it has a lot of tech, maybe a little too much tech for me, but for some people, that's what they like. And I'm more of like the raw, me and the machine type rider. But yeah, I mean, the suspension's good, the brakes work decently, the boost mode is kind of cool, even though it isn't ready all the time.
First impressions with the Segway GT3. I mean, a very smooth tune. I mean, it really resembles the Max G3. It even resembles a little bit of the Segway Cyber. Their vehicles have just like a certain feel to them. Their controllers are just really, really smooth, and the ramp up isn't like jarring, even on boost mode. It never felt like I was like gonna lose control or if it was like too fast on the ramp up. The GT3 is a little bit bigger than the Max G3. You know, it feels like a more substantial scooter. This is definitely something that you could use as a commuter. You could take it in the bike lanes if that's allowed, and then you can also transition onto the street if you need to. You know, it goes a little bit past 30 miles per hour, so just be aware of that. I do like the traction control turned off. I remember trying the traction control on the Max G3, and it was really hard to ride off-road. It would just like cut the motor off. And then you get all the integrated features. This is for people who are in that, you know, Segway ecosystem of smart features. You know, they like the airlock, they like the Apple Find My, a lot of tech built in. Those are definitely positives. I could see why this would be a draw for that crowd. And it just looks really great. Looks has a really nice futuristic feel to it. And I guess the big nitpick is that it doesn't have a true zero start throttle. So there's actually one step that you have to do, which is click the brakes and then you can throttle. And just imagine like you're commuting, you're at an intersection and you forget to do that, right? You forget that extra step of hitting the brake and your throttle just won't go. It's pretty annoying, and I don't know exactly why they do that. Probably a safety feature. They want you to kick push. I feel like there should be a true zero start throttle. And then the boost mode, you know, temporary boost mode, and then it being disabled after a few seconds so you can't actually stay on boost mode. I get it. Again, we're adults here. Some adults use this and they know how to ride, so it is what it is. Anyway, we don't review a lot of electric scooters on the channel, mostly bikes, but this is definitely one of the ones that stand out in my opinion. So the Segway GT3, solid recommend.
The Segway GT3 stands out with a sharp, futuristic look and a well-integrated system of smart features that actually feel useful. The ride quality is one of its strongest points, thanks to a solid suspension setup and smooth power delivery that makes it easy to stay in control. But here's some things to consider. Riders looking for raw torque or faster top speeds might find the motor a little underwhelming, and while the tech is impressive, it's a bit much if all you want is a simple, no-frills ride. So, what do you think of the Segway GT3? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.